states, 1,618 languages, 6,400 castes, a number of ethnic groups, and many religions. One country. This shows that despite having diverse culture, traditions, languages, religions, we stand together as one. This shows our unity in diversity, and we are proud that we are Indians. A very fine and pleasant morning to one and all present here. Today we are gathered here to celebrate our 73rd Republic Day. I, Harshita S. Murthy of 10B, wish you all a very happy Republic Day. 26th January holds an everlasting place in our national memory because it is the day when modern India was born. Under Mahatma Gandhi's moral and political leadership, the National Congress passed the Purna Swaraj Resolution, demanding complete independence from the British rule in December 1929. Gandhiji organized nationwide celebrations on 26 January 1930 as Independence Day. From then on, the nation took a pledge on this day every year to carry on the freedom struggle till we attained it. Exactly 20 years later, in 1950, we adopted our charter of modernity, the Constitution. Tragically, Gandhiji had been martyred 2 years before, but the framework of the Constitution that has made India a role model for today's world was constructed out of his philosophy. Its essence lay in 4 principles: democracy, freedom of faith, gender equality, and an economic upsprung for those trapped in the curse of dire poverty. And these have been made the guiding values of our country. Being living in a democratic republic, we have freedom in mind, faith in words, pride in our heart, and patriotism in our souls. So let's salute our nation on its 73rd Republic Day. To begin with the Republic Day function, I would like to call upon our respected principal, Mr. Jaiprakash Sir, to hoist the national flag, the symbol of our national pride and identity.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you, sir. The pandemic taught us to be grateful for everything in life and every day which we get to spend on this earth. It also taught us the importance of our beloved ones and the strength and courage they provide, which makes us rock solid and brave enough to face all kinds of circumstances that might cross our path. But most importantly, it taught us the power of spirituality and the gravity of prayers, not only in healing but also in nourishing and boosting our inner self. Thus now, let us begin the celebration of this blissful day by invoking the blessings of Almighty.
Arjuna uvacha evam satatayuktaye bhaktastvam pariyupasate echapyaksharamaulyaktam tesham ke yoga vittamaha. Arjuna asked, which is considered to be more perfect? Those who are properly engaged in a devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahma, the unmanifested? Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Mayyaveshya mano emam nityayukta upasate Shraddhaya parayopetaha te me yukta mamamataha. Lord Krishna said, he whose mind is fixed on my personal form, always engaged in worshipping me with great faith, is considered by me to be most perfect. Hare Krishna.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
A reading from the book of Psalms, chapter 43, verses 3 and 4. Oh, send out your light and your truth. Let them lead me. Let them bring me to your holy hill and to your dwelling. Then I will go to the altar of God, to God my exceeding joy. And I will praise you with the harp, O God, my God. Amen.
Thank you. I would now like to request Sai Raksha to charge and motivate all young minds by resonating the note of welcome.
Our Constitution is a ray of hope. H for harmony, O for opportunity, P for people, and E for equality. The Constitution is a religion that preaches liberty, equality, and fraternity. Constitutional morality is not a national sentiment, it is cultivated into our minds. This Republic Day, let us not ask what our country can do for us, but instead ask what we can do for our country. A very good morning to one and all present here. I consider it my immense pleasure to sound the note of welcome for the Republic Day ceremony 2022. I deem it my honor to welcome Dr. Nisar Ahmed, Chairman of Presidency Group of Institutions and Chancellor of Presidency University. Welcome, sir. I heartily welcome Madam Chancellor Kausar Ahmed. Welcome, ma'am. I feel privileged to welcome Mr. Suhail Ahmed, Vice Chairman of Presidency Group of Institutions. I extend my welcome to Ms. Nafisa Ahmed, Director of Presidency Group of Institutions, and Mr. Salman Ahmed, Vice President, Presidency University. I consider it my honor to welcome Mr. Shah, the Management Trustee, for gracing the occasion with his presence. Welcome, sir. I also welcome Mr. Nagarajan, Director of Education, Presidency Group of Schools. I would like to express my wholehearted welcome to Ms. Aziza Isa, Senior General Manager, Office of the Director, Presidency Group of Institutions. I would also like to welcome Mr. Tangadurai, Director of Presidency Group of Schools and Principal of Presidency School, Kasturinagar. I am delighted to welcome Ms. Bhuvaneshwari, Principal of Presidency School, Bedekahalli and Director of Presidency School, Mangalore and Presidency School, Bangalore South. I wish to convey my welcome to Ms. Susan Roy Thomas, Principal of St. Paul's School, JP Nagar. I take immense pleasure in welcoming Ms. Asha Meka, Principal of Presidency School, IT Nagar. I extend my welcome to Mr. Ramesh Mudgal, Principal of Presidency School, Bangalore North. I now move on to welcome Ms. Sandhya Raman, Principal of Presidency School, Banashankari. I welcome Ms. Shaila Saldhana, Associate Principal, Presidency School, Mangalore. On the 26th of January, we celebrate the diversity and unity from every nook and corner of our country. We glorify the struggles and sacrifices of India through uncertain times. My wholehearted welcome goes to our dear Principal, Mr. Jayaprakash Sir, who encouraged us to work with zeal even through uncertain times. I extend my cordial welcome to our Headmistress, Ms. Yamini Ma'am. I now welcome our coordinators, Ms. Nagamani Ma'am and Ms. Sweta Solanki Ma'am. I welcome our dear teachers who have inspired us to work with passion, patience and perseverance. I hope my welcome reaches the non-teaching staff, support staff and all the people who work behind the frame. I also take this opportunity to welcome all our dear parents and dear friends who have supported and nurtured us throughout our life. Enjoy the program ahead. Saluting India, where each bud blooms in its true colors, where each day is a celebration of unity, harmony and integrity. Rejoice the glory of India and its freedom fighters this day. Happy Republic Day.
Thank you, Sai Raksha. India is known as Bharat Janarajya in Sanskrit. That is why the country is popularly called Bharat in Hindi. The word Bharat fills our mind with all the diverse cultures and people who live in the country. It is the culture of India which makes it distinguished from others. The food, the people, the language, the festivals, the folk songs, the dances and so many other things which add to the beauty of India. To present before you the celebration of diversified India, where there is unity in diversity, I would like to call upon Traya Narayan of 9B for a classical dance performance.
श्यामला मातरम् वन्दे मातरम् शुभ्रज्योत्स्ना पुलकितयामिनी पुल्लकुसुमिता द्रुमदलशोभिनी सुहासिनी सुमधुरभाषिणी सुखदां वरदां मातरं वन्दे मातरम्
तरिकिट तगदिं रिमरिम मगरि मपनि दप रिमपनि स इडदिं दिदप तगदिं तगजं तगणं तगसरि सरि दप मगरि सरि स मरि रिप मरि प पनि नि दिं दिं मम पपनि नि दिं दिं पपनि नि दिं दिसगरि तगदिं दिप तगदरि गिददिं तगदिं तदिं नाददिं ततो
That was fantabulous. We now have Tushar A.D. Rao, the school captain, to illuminate our souls with the light of nationalism on the occasion of Republic Day.
Cordial greetings to respected dignitaries, teachers, and my dear friends. It is with immense pleasure, irrepressible enthusiasm, and a heart pounding with pride that I pass on my best wishes for India's 73rd Republic Day. Let it soak in for a moment the simple yet radical implications that this day bore for us over 70 years ago. On January 26, 1930, the historic Purna Swaraj resolution proclaimed at Lahore set a precedent for what's to come. An all guns blazing, give it all you got brawl with the iron fist of our then colonial masters. We were all raised with the ideals of patriotism instilled in us in some form or the other. It was impressed upon us that regardless of our current situation, our political ideals or moral obligations, we simply must hold energetic patriotism in the highest regard. But what exactly is patriotism? Is it simply selfless, blinded love for one's nation and vigorous advancement of political ideals? Or something much deeper? Is it more than just seeing the country as a haven of good, but rather a promise to make it better? We have long seen patriotism as simply an outburst of energy and pride. And while to a degree it certainly is, what does it truly mean to be patriotic? For popular opinion's sake, let us compare patriotism to a fire that, if burning with enough raw energy and power towards the motherland, would enable one to be called a patriot. If patriotism is simply a rush of feelings, does it mean we are patriotic only on a handful of days a year? Songs, speeches, dance, vibrant celebrations, and the hoisting of the flag are simply the spark, the first step, lighting a tiny, fragile ember with dedication and discipline, time and time again, and when failing, taking one's ego out of the equation, because even this requires selfless love. This is what our forefathers did all those years ago, kindling a fire within us that we didn't even know we had, bringing together a nation at war with itself to fight a much bigger threat. They didn't just kindle the fire, they kept it going throughout their lives, even in the midst of pouring rain. But a fire needs much more than a spark to keep going. My younger friends here would recall the fire triangle, which indicates that a fire needs heat, fuel, and oxygen to keep glowing. Well, why does a fire need heat? In simple terms, the creation of anything, fire included, requires a considerable amount of energy. The more the energy, the fiercer the fire. In our case, this energy comes from the people of the land, who established themselves as Indians. If one thinks about it, the only identity a nation has is the identity of its people. And creating a strong Indian identity provides the heat required for the fire. The second in our triangle is fuel. And not just any fuel, the right type of fuel. You see, all those years ago, the fuel for our fighters was not just deep love of one's nation, but an unrelenting drive to make it better than it was when they saw it. For them, the fuel was not just the idea of how great a nation India was, but also how great it could be in the future, even if that future would not be seen within their lifetime. To me, patriotism is not just about deep admiration for all the things that make one an Indian, but also about seeing a vision of where it could be. To me, patriotism is seeing the immense strides we have taken in less than a century of independence, and also seeing its tremendous problems, and assuming full responsibility to fix them. And this is far from a Herculean task. It is simply doing our everyday jobs well. To me, that responsibility would mean studying hard and applying oneself. To my parents, it would mean continuing to provide excellent healthcare and simply doing our absolute best at the work we do. We must choose to see these flaws for what they are and at least try our absolute best to fix them. And last in our fire triangle is oxygen. Oxygen is what we call a supporter of combustion. Only in its presence would heat and fuel be of any use in a fire. So what is oxygen with regards to patriotism? What is that one thing without which our heat as in our identity as Indians, fuel as in the drive to fix the problems we see with our nation, would be of no use at all? The answer is action. We already know exactly what to do, and that is to strive to be the best at our work and follow the path which calls to us more than anything else. Action is choosing to go down a path which calls to one more than anything else, pursuing it with all the energy and willpower one can muster, and do so even if it means rejecting the road well travelled. It means seeing what one would want to put their heart and soul into, and chasing that dream with diligence, passion, and dedication, against anything that may stand in the way, just like our forefathers did, year after year, decade after decade. I wish you all a joyous, celebratory Republic Day within the safety and comfort of your homes. Thank you for lending me your ears and your time. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Tushar. That truly did infuse in each one of us the spirit and essence of patriotism. With the same spirit of nationalism, let's continue our program. We now have a patriotic song by the school choir.
शान पे सदके कोई धन है क्या तेरी दूर से बढ़ के तेरी धूप से रोशन तेरी हवा पे जिंदा तू बाग
friends for the amazing performance. Where words can't express, music does. It is the essence which not only gives us memories to look back and smile at, but also makes us experience something which is beyond normal bliss. I would now like to call upon Rishita of 10B to perform an instrumental solo on the song J.O. Thank you, Rishita. Now we have a small presentation on the topic Constitutional Amendments in India after 1950, prepared by Naveen and Abhay.
Good morning to one and all present here. Today, we are going to present before you some of the main constitutional amendment acts of India. As of October 2021, there have been 105 amendments of the Constitution of India since it was first enacted in the 1950. So, let us first understand the meaning of the Constitution. What is a Constitution? It is a comprehensive document containing the set of rules according to which the government of a country runs.
The First Amendment Act of 1951. Article 19(1)(g) of the Constitution confers the right of citizens of India to practice any profession or to carry on any occupation, trade or business. The amendment expressly provided that state trading and nationalization of any trade or business by the state is not being invalid on the ground of the violation of the right to trade or business. It inserted Articles 31A and 31B. It inserted 9th schedule to the Constitution to protect the land reform and other laws present in it from the judicial review. The 9th schedule of the Constitution contains a list of central and state laws which cannot be challenged in the courts.
The Mini Constitution or the 42nd Amendment Act 1976. The Constitution of India is unique for its content and spirit. The Constitution of India decides the rule of the land and is taken as the supreme law of the land. The Constituent Assembly that was behind formulating our Constitution has also given scope for amendments in it with time. Hence, the Indian Constitution of what it is today has undergone substantive changes on account of several amendments. Due to the large number of amendments this Act has brought to the Indian Constitution, it is also known as the Mini Constitution. It amended or introduced various provisions as given below, attempted to reduce the power of the Supreme Court and the High Courts, laid down fundamental duties for the citizens, terms socialist, secular and integrity were added to the preamble.
The 44th Amendment Act of 1978. The 44th Amendment Act of 1978 reversed the provision made by the 42nd Amendment Act that allowed the government to amend the Constitution on its wish by Article 368. Right to property was removed from the list of fundamental rights, Article 31, and was made a legal right under Article 300A. An emergency can be proclaimed only on the basis of written advice tendered to the President by the Cabinet.
The 61st Amendment Act 1988. The 61st Amendment Act 1988 of the Indian Constitution reduced the voting age for elections to the Lok Sabha and the state legislative assemblies from 21 to 18 years. The bill attempted to modify Article 326 of the Indian Constitution, which governs Lok Sabha and the Assembly's elections. As a result, the Act came into effect on March 28, 1989, and any citizen who is otherwise qualified could participate in India's democratic processes from the age of 18 onwards. Note: before the 61st Amendment, any citizen of India who is 21 years of age or older was not disqualified for any other reason and was allowed to vote.
The 73rd Amendment Act of 1993. The Constitution 73rd Amendment Act was passed in 1992 and it came into effect on 24th April 1993. 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act was relating to Panchayat Raj institutions. It provided the Panchayat with the status of a constitutional body. It also provided the authority for the voters to formulate the development schemes of the Panchayat. Here are some of the development schemes undertaken by the Karnataka government for the development of the rural areas. Karnataka's Jana Sanjeevani scheme, Karnataka State Tourism Development Corporation, Karnataka Rural Infrastructure Development, Rural Development and Panchayat Raj Department. The Gram Panchayats have a fixed tenure of 5 years. State election commissions have been provided with a mechanism to conduct independent elections to the village panchayats. Article 243D gives provisions for the due representation of women and SC/STs. It was made mandatory that the state government shall allocate funds mandatorily to the panchayat on the basis of population as awarded by the State Finance Commission.
The 86th Amendment Act 2002. The Constitution Act 2002 or the 86th Amendment Act. An act further to amend the Constitution of India, be it enacted by the Parliament in the 53rd year of the Republic of India, it led to the insertion of the new Article 21A, namely, Right to Education. 21A. The state shall provide free and compulsory education to all children of age of 6 to 14 years in such a manner as the state may by law determine. For Article 45 of the Constitution, the following article shall be substituted, namely, the state shall endeavour to provide early childhood care and education for all children until they complete the age of 6 years. Providing childhood care and education. Article 51A. A parent or guardian to provide opportunities for the education to his or her child between the age of 6 years and 14 years.
The Right to Information Act of 2005. The Right to Information is an act of the Parliament of India which sets out the rules and procedures regarding citizens' right to information. It replaced the former Freedom of Information Act 2002. Under the provisions of RTI Act, any citizen of India may request information from a public authority which is required to reply expeditiously or within 30 days. In case of matter involving a petitioner's life and liberty, the information has to be provided within 48 hours. The basic objective of the Right to Information Act is to empower the citizens, promote transparency and accountability in the working of the government, and make a democracy work for the people in real sense. It goes without saying that an informed citizen is better equipped to keep necessary vigil on the instruments of the governance and make the government more accountable to the governed. The Act is a big step towards making the citizens informed about the activities of the government. The 101st Amendment Act of 2016. Officially known as the Constitution Act 2016, this amendment introduced a national goods and service tax in India from 1st July 2017. It was introduced as the 122nd Amendment Bill of the Constitution of India. What is GST? The Goods and Service Tax is a value-added tax proposed to be a comprehensive indirect tax levy on manufacture, sale, and consumption of goods as well as services at the national level. It replaces all indirect taxes levied on goods and services by the Indian central and state governments. It is aimed at being comprehensive for most goods and services. The Constitution Bill 2014 was introduced in the Lok Sabha on 19 December 2014 and passed by the House on 6 May 2015. In the Rajya Sabha, the bill was referred to a select committee on 14 May 2015. The Select Committee of Rajya Sabha submitted its report on the bill on 22 July 2015. The bill was passed by the Rajya Sabha on 3 August 2016 and the amended bill was passed by Lok Sabha on 8 August 2016.
The 103rd Amendment Act 2018. The 103rd Amendment of the Constitution of India, officially known as the Constitution Act 2018, introduces 10% reservation for the economically weaker sections of the society for the admission to the central government-run educational institutions and the private educational institutions, except for the minority educational institutions, and for employment in the central government jobs. The Constitutional 103rd Amendment Act got assent from the President of India on 13 January 2018 and it was passed in the Lok Sabha. It was drafted with a will to make Article 46 compulsory that urges the Government of India to provide protection to all the educational and economic interests of the weaker section of the society. Since socially disadvantaged sections have enjoyed the privilege, there was a relief provided to economically disadvantaged sections as well. Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act 2019. It is an act of the Parliament of India containing provisions to reconstitute the Indian administered state of Jammu and Kashmir, a part of the larger region of Kashmir which has been subject to dispute among India, Pakistan and China since 1947, into two Indian administered union territories called Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, and becoming effective on 31st October 2019. Application of provisions on elected legislatures. The Act provides that Article 239A of the Constitution, which is applicable to the Union Territory of Puducherry, shall also apply to the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Article 239A provides with a legislature which may be elected or partly nominated and partly elected, or a council of ministers. A bill for the Act was introduced in the Rajya Sabha on 5th August 2019 and was passed on the same day. It was then passed by the Lok Sabha on 6th August 2019 and it received the President's assent on 9th August 2019. The Act specifies that the members of the Indian Administrative Service, the Indian Forest Service and the Indian Police Service serving in the state of Jammu and Kashmir would continue to serve in the two union territories based on allocation decided by the central government. Thank you. Wish you all a happy Republic Day.
That was really informative. Now we have our principal, Mr. Jai Prakash sir, to reinstill the feeling of patriotism and oneness inside us.
Dear friends, I wish you all a very happy and meaningful Republic Day. Let me read out a poem, First They Came, written by Pastor Martin Niemöller, about the inactivity of German intellectuals following the Nazi rise to power and the purging of their chosen targets, group after group. Here goes the poem. When the Nazis came for the communists, I remained silent. I was not a communist. When they locked up the Social Democrats, I remained silent. I was not a Social Democrat. When they came for the trade unionists, I did not speak out. I was not a trade unionist. When they came for the Jews, I remained silent. I was not a Jew. And at last, when they came for me, there was no one left to speak out. This is what happens when we turn a blind eye to the problems of others. If we do not react to the loss of freedom of others, most certainly nobody would move even a finger when we lose ours. The lofty ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity presented to the world by French Revolution, which has become synonymous with democracy the world over, is in danger today. Of the three ideals, the first two, liberty and equality, has been conveniently favored over the third, fraternity. Fraternity means brotherhood, which may be further interpreted as cooperation, teamwork, mutual loyalty, trust, understanding, commitment, etc. On 4th of August 1789, a large and unruly parliament of excited men sat in a hall at Versailles. It was the National Assembly of Revolutionary France, and it was framing a new constitution for the country. But what was agitating the assembly at the moment was the preamble to that constitution, a declaration of the rights of man. Suddenly, one of the members interposed with an amendment. He proposed that the declaration of the rights of man should also be a declaration of the duties of man. His amendment was impatiently rejected, the majority being 575 against 433. And the assembly proceeded to adopt almost unanimously the motion that the preamble should consist only of a declaration of rights and not of duties. Human nature has not changed much since then. We still hear much about the rights of man. About the duties, we do not hear quite so much. The lesson is applicable to the present situation, if at all. When we demand our rights or promise other people their rights, the motive concerned is self-interest, the self-interest of an individual or of a class. When duties are spoken of, it is conscience that is appealed to. Which is better for the welfare and progress of the individual? Self-interest or conscience? Which is better for the welfare of the community? Self-interest or conscience? This mention of rights and duties suggests that they are opposed to each other. Rights are pleasant things and duties are painful things. Rights are what we want and can't get, and duties are what we get and don't want. So perhaps it is advisable to find another word that will suit the case better. That is why the word privileges was chosen. What are the privileges of man? Do they include the rights or duties or some or both? I believe that a man's rights and duties and privileges are really all one and the same thing. But the word rights in this case means something that cannot be taken away from a man. He does not have to clamor for this kind of rights. No one can do him out of them. To be a man, a human being, is not that privilege enough? Is it not? Does it not confer power enough? For what is man? An ancient emblem represents him as having a human head, the body of a lion, and the wings of an eagle. The human head represents man's intellect, the lion's body, his daring, and willpower, the eagle's wings, his power of aspirations. With these divine gifts, man can make himself what he will, and yet he abrogates them and clamors for lesser things he calls his rights. We do not need to clamor for our rights. We only need to recognize them. The real rights of man are his birthrights, and we know that he is born of the spirit as well as of the flesh. Leastwise, however the doctrine and theology may run, it is an indisputable fact that you and I are somehow mysteriously endowed with a mind and a heart and a will and good many other things that money cannot buy and thieves cannot steal. The sooner we recognize these gifts, the sooner we shall have our rights. The sooner we exercise these gifts, the sooner we shall do our duties. And as to privileges, all this will be privilege enough and to spare. Let us claim our birthrights. Would you like to be a strong person or a weak person? A strong person is self-dependent, but a weak person is always leaning on other people. The weak person has his eyes fixed on the past and on the future, but never on the present. The future is always getting away from him as he goes, like his shadow thrown before him, and the past is always receding from him. Only the present stays with him, but this he seems to have no use for. He is the impractical man. The weak person is affected by the opinions of others, by praise and blame. He is alternately accelerated and depressed by the turns of fortune. He lives in an atmosphere of expectation and fear and is a creature of vain emotion. The strong man simply takes his life as he finds it and acts strongly here and now, in the present place and the present moment. Why be a weakling? Why not face boldly the life in which you find yourself and determine to utilize your wonderful resources to the full? Surely it is the venturous man who discovers things. The man who waits for a lead never starts at all. Yet how many people there are today who say feebly that they do not know the mysteries of life and that they can never know. People who demand to be shown before they will move, people who will stay where they are until they can see something better. These people do not realize that it is often necessary to take a step first before you can see where to plant the next step. If you would discover something about the mysteries of your own nature, you must have faith enough and grit enough to start. You must not wait for knowledge to fall into your lap. The kingdom of heaven has to be taken by might. It will not throw itself at our heads. When we try to imagine the future of humanity and can think of nothing better than a lot of people of different classes all clamoring for what they consider their rights, we do not get a very edifying picture. What is needed is that people should be taught to recognize their privileges, the rights that they have, not the rights that they think they ought to have. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Means that if you attend to your duties, your rights will take care of themselves. Surely it's a privilege to have duties. It is our duty to guard others' rights as well. Only the day we are able to do these, the efforts of our illustrious forefathers who won us freedom and framed our constitution shall be honored. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for your motivating and energizing speech. Our national song, Vande Mataram, is no less than an epic for our country and holds a special place in the heart of every Indian. The first two words of the title itself are sufficient to induce a great feeling of patriotism. Now I would like to call the teachers to render our national song, Vande Mataram, the one which won India's heart as its war cry of freedom.
Vande
Thank you, teachers. I would now like to call upon Aditya for the vote of thanks.
I quote Lal Bahadur Shastri. In this vast country of ours, people profess different religions, speak different languages, dress differently, and observe different customs. But we are one nation. The history of our struggle for independence and our faith in our future development are our common bonds. I unquote. Good morning to one and all present here. It gives me immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks to all those who have gathered here to celebrate India's 73rd Republic Day and to acknowledge the contributions of all those who worked really hard to make this Republic Day celebration a grand success. I deem it my honor to thank Dr. Nisar Ahmed, Chairman of Presidency Group of Institutions and Chancellor of Presidency University. Thank you, sir. I heartily thank Madam Chancellor, Ms. Kausar Ahmed. I feel privileged to thank Mr. Suhail Ahmed, Vice Chairman of Presidency Group of Institutions. I extend my gratitude to Mr. Hafiz Ahmed, Director of Presidency Group of Institutions. I express my appreciation to Mr. Salman Ahmed, Vice President of Presidency University. I take this opportunity to thank Mr. Shah, the Management Trustee, for gracing the occasion with his presence. Thank you, sir. I am delighted to thank Mr. Nagarajan, Director of Education. I would like to express my wholehearted gratitude to Ms. Aziza Isa, Senior General Manager, Office of the Director, Presidency Group of Institutions. I heartily thank Mr. Tangadurai, Director of Presidency Group of Schools and Principal of Presidency School, Kasturi Nagar. I am delighted to thank Ms. Bhuvaneshwari, Principal of Presidency School, Billekahalli and Director of Presidency School, Mangalore and Presidency School, Bangalore South. I extend my gratitude to Ms. Susan Roy Thomas, Principal of St. Paul's School, JP Nagar. I take immense pleasure in thanking Ms. Asha Maika, Principal of Presidency School, RT Nagar. My heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Ramesh Mudgal, Principal of Presidency School, Bangalore North. I extend my gratitude to Ms. Sandhya Raman, Principal of Presidency School, Banashankari. My deep and special thanks to Ms. Shaila Saldhana, Vice Principal of Presidency School, Mangalore. A word of encouragement during a failure is worth more than an hour of praise to success. I would like to extend my sincere thanks to our principal, Mr. Jayaprakash sir, whose motivation and guidance helped us to organize this event successfully. I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to Headmistress Ms. Yamini ma'am for her continuous support and guidance. I now move on to thank our coordinators Ms. Nagbani ma'am and Ms. Sweta Solanki ma'am for their valuable contributions. With a deep sense of appreciation, I would like to thank our loving teachers for their untiring efforts. Thank you, teachers. I would also like to thank all the unknown hands that contributed for the success of this program. Our technical management team, stage setting and lighting arrangement team, the musicians and housekeeping staff. Thank you all. A sincere gratitude goes to all the parents and well-wishers for their rock-solid support. Without your support, children would not be able to achieve excellence. Finally, I would like to thank my dear friends who made this event joyful with their impressive performances. Last but not the least, a big thank you to each one of you who made this Republic Day celebration memorable to all of us. Thank you and Happy Republic Day.
Thank you, Aditya. One's identity is almost vague without his nationality. Indians celebrate Republic Day with a lot of enthusiasm. And let's not forget the long journey to freedom, the struggles of our forefathers to make the country a sovereign state. It took great hard work for great leaders, thinkers, educationists, and well workers to draft the Indian Constitution. We still look back at Dr. B.R. Ambedkar to thank him for inculcating such noble ideas in our Constitution. Thank you. Have a great and a safe Republic Day. Jai Hind.